Hello, everyone. My guest today is Derek O'Carroll. He's the CEO of Brightpearl, a cloud-based ERP built solely for retailers and wholesalers. He's the co-author of the Omnichannel Survival Guide. He's recognized as a leading retail expert, leading BP that trades $1.8 billion of business globally every year, cementing in its position as an invaluable asset for mid-sized merchants seeking a competitive edge. Derek, are you ready to take us to the top?
I am indeed. Delighted to be with you, Nathan.
All right. Did I get the kind of function of Brightpearl correct? Why don't you fill in the gaps there and then tell me how you guys make money?
Yeah, spot on. As you said, we are purpose-built for the retail and wholesale industries. And so alternatively, those markets would typically go to a generic ERP provider like NetSuite or Microsoft and spend a lot of dollars customizing that platform to their requirements. Whereas when they come to us, we're built solely for that sector, and that's pretty much our USP. As you said on the intro, in the last 12 months, our customers transacted $1.8 billion worth of invoices to cash on the platform. And when you translate that to our revenue, if I look at, say, our annual recurring revenue as of this morning, we're like on the first half, so at the end of June, we're at $11.35 million of annual recurring revenue.
That's a run rate?
Yes, that's annual recurring revenue.
Forward-looking though. No, not past.
No, that is forward-looking for the year. Like the snapshot is forward-looking.
Yep.
So that's our annual recurring revenue, and then new annual contract value accrued, if you like, or won over the 6 months. That's new business, upsell, and uplift is about it's $2.2 million, and then professional services on top because we have to do a lot of work. Bringing people onto the platform is just over $1 million in terms of our size. That gives you a size and scale. And that's as of the end of June. I joined 2 years ago. It was a very different story 2 years ago because we've been on a mission to reposition the company and put it into a position where it was more viable than it was prior to my arrival, which we can talk about.
Yep. Well, I want to make sure I got those facts correct, and I want to hear more about the backstory here. At $11 or $12 million run rate today, that means you're doing, call it $900 or $1 million a month about in pure play SaaS. You didn't have additional cash on top of that in the form of professional services, which doubles as helping you basically cover onboarding costs to make customers sticky.
Correct. Yeah, spot on. And then we're running churn's about 13%, which is pretty high, but if you look at last year, it was 18%, and the year before that, it was 20%. And that's really down to the fact that we've transitioned away from micro retailers. So those retailers that Brightpearl was built on, if you like, that traded less than $1 million a year. And say back in 2016, 70% of that revenue stack, or the revenue stack then, was coming from those micro retailers, whereas now only 28% of that revenue stack comes from those guys. So we've transitioned the business up market over the last 2 years, and I can talk about that as well. But
so just to be clear, that's 13%. Is that gross revenue churn annually?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And what's net?
I don't have that number actually.
Okay. Are you net negative? Do you know?
What do you mean by net negative?
Your expansion revenue more than outpaces your churned revenue.
Our expansion revenue outpaces our. Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Upsells across the current customer base that's a larger number than lost revenue.
So I thought that's for me, that's dollar retained revenue. So that's at the moment it's just over 100%. So it's 102%. Whereas 2 years ago it was running about 85%.
Got it. So just to be clear, 102% net revenue retention annually, which is the same thing as net negative churn.
Correct. Yeah. Apologies.
No. Everyone. It's funny in the SaaS world. You'd think because of how many companies there are, there'd be standard metrics, but everyone measures things a little differently. So we're talking the same language. I got it. Walk me through more of the backstory. When was the company created? And then I guess you came in 2016.
Yeah, the company was created back in 2008. It was incorporated by a guy called Chris Tanner, trained developer, got involved in skateboard, set up a business, and then quickly ran in as his business scales. He ran into challenges in the back office on servicing those online channels back in the day. So he had a shop and a warehouse, but then he started selling online, and he realized there was no solution out there that would bring together all of those mundane tasks, automate them, and give him visibility across the board and create his accounts on the fly. So he set out to build that single solution. So that's point of sale. It's everything on marketplaces. It's their own websites. It's payments, it's warehousing, it's order management, and then through to accounting. So not that you want to be entering in all of those data points. You want a system that will just create the accounts as you go. and then feed back to you information on, say, fully landed costs on each product in a channel on a specific currency. So that's what he lent out to do. And he went down the route of self-service. So he figured it was a good idea to make that platform available to companies like himself. He was pretty small at the time. So he really built it for self-service. But unfortunately, in doing so, he assigned himself to a segment which was, micro retailers have a very high percentage of churn.
Yep.
So he grew very quickly. And then he ran into that challenge of churn coupled with the innate experience that goes along with that in terms of the continual investment on R&D. I joined in April 2016 with a simple remit to put in place a more viable business model. Because back then, if I look at, say, churn in 2016, it was in the high 20s, 27, 28%, which is obviously not tenable. But what I did see was within the customer base, there were some very large customers using the platform, but they were paying Brightpearl a very small amount of money. So the relationship between R and GMV of the customer base was well out of whack. It was about 0.23%. And so we put in place a set of steps to move the company away from micro retailers up to mid-market, more established, robust retailers. And as a result, our churn has dropped off.
Yep.
That's funded better dollars, and that's to help to invest in customer service.
So Derek, just to be clear, though, I want to get some other metrics here. So did you come in with a funding round where did you replace him? What's the company raised to date?
So the company to date has raised $45 million since its inception. It's had multiple rounds. When I came in, the terms of me joining and what we agreed with the board was we would do a down round and we would level set the business based on a true valuation that we thought was more in keeping with the fact that it had high churn, and that's not viable. So we did a down round, and I signed up for certain milestones and triggers that released some cash, and that was used to fund the transition. And at the end of that journey, we cleaned up the cap table, made sure that all stakeholders were in a position for equal returns once we scale the business. And that's what we've achieved in the last 2 years.
And what are you at today? What are you at today now in terms of total customers?
We're at 913 customers at the moment. So ARPU is 12,434. And then average order value of new deals, because ARPU is relative to the whole customer base, some of which are still small. I haven't got rid of them all. Average order value of new deals is 27,720. And that's AOV as it pertains to subscription. It wouldn't include ProServe on top.
And tell me more about the team size today and how many of them are dedicated to onboarding new customers at that ACV.
Yeah, so we've got 84 people in total, and the sales team in the US and in the UK is at 12 people, but quota carriers within that is 5 people.
And what is quota? How do you set that?
So when I started, ACV yield per rep, so new ACV yield per rep was about $19,000 per month. We're now up to $48,000 per month. And
what changed that?
What changed that? Well, number one was the fact that we were targeting a different profile of customer. 2, we put in place value-based selling methodology. So we really focused on the soft aspects of the proposition, so not just the technology, but for example, topics like business continuity and ensuring the customers understood during the sales cycle how they onboarded to this, and building efficiency metrics to prove to customers what the benefit of the solution was once you rolled on to the service in terms of better invoicing time, better shipping time. So we really focused on proof points, value-based selling, and then obviously that drove a huge increase in average order value as we targeted more customers. And we were only able to target more customers because we already had them in the customer base. They were paying us
a small amount.
Correctly. The monetization strategy was based on, it was a per user based license structure when I joined. And we moved it to a GMV number of orders, whichever is higher, because we obviously do retail and wholesale. And we did that in January 2017, and we saw our average order value increase hugely. It basically jumped by 3 times. Back in 2016, it was $10,900. 2017 at the end, annually, it was $24,000. And so far this year, we're at $27,000.
Yep, and that's again new ACV per quota carrying rep per month.
That's yes. ACV. Some people, back to your earlier thing, AOV, ACV, average order value, average contract value. Our contracts are 12 months, and people prepay on the first year, although they can buy a multi-year to get a better discount. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the yield per rep, I don't have it at the moment for the first half yet, but we're expecting to hit 60, 65 by I think at the end of this month. But we'll be at 75K definitely by the end of next month.
75K. What do you mean yield per? That's per month, yield per rep, or per year, or what?
That's per month.
Per month. And what does that mean? I haven't heard that term before.
So it's yield per rep. So it's an individual I pay a salary to, give them a quota. They would bring to me new ACV dollars in the sense of new contract dollars that will roll up into my subscription revenue flow, and that's what they'll bring me in each month that I would pay commission on. And my target is to get to 90K per month.
But it's 75 now, and then is that net? In other words, does that include their salary?
It's not 75 now. I'm aiming for 75. We're at 48,000, and I expect to finish this month at 60. It's increasing each month. And back to your other question, the other reason why we were able to transition the business was we went out and during the analysis of our pricing, we needed to understand what was the cost of the alternative. And we worked with an agency to go out and blind taste some prospects, ideal customer prospects on, okay, what would you pay for these jobs of work if you had a cloud service that would deliver them to you? And that really proved to us that we were much more valuable than the historical team had actually undertaken and realized. And once we packaged that up and got that out there, we found out that we were in a position to compete with a much bigger, larger company, a legacy ERP provider. And by selecting a target for the team to go after, it really created that sort of sharp end of the stick. Everyone went after that competitor. And then that really also has driven that differentiation and the value selling that I spoke along. So it's important to pick your target is my point.
So let me summarize this, and then I want to move on. Before you came, each quota carrying rep, call it 19, or maybe when you first started, 19 grand in new essentially contracts closed per month. That's up to 29 now. You're aiming to get up to 45, and then ultimate goal to get to 75 and 90. So today, again, if they're at about 45, is that then you pay them, call it $6,000 a month salary? So actually net, it's call it 39 or 38.
Yeah, I'll just go back to your summary there. The yield per head when I joined of ACV per rep was $19,000.
Yep.
Now it's $48,000, and we expect it to be 60 at
Is
the
that
end of the
net
month.
though? Do you pay salary then out of that, so it's actually a little lower, or that's net?
Yeah. It would be salary would come out of that. So there's basic salary be about $4,000 or $5,000 depending upon which country you're looking at, whether it's UK or US.
That's good. Look, it's good productivity. That's great. Walk me through, again, now that we understand the sales model, what's your all-in fully weighted CAC per new customer?
I'm sorry, you did break up there, Nathan. I didn't hear you.
I was just saying, now that we understand your sales model in terms of the touch you're putting on these sales, what's your fully weighted customer acquisition cost?
So at the moment, we're running at just over $4,700 on the CAC. And that's pretty high based on where we've come from. And that's really down to the fact that when I look at the way I acquire customers, historically, Brightpearl built its business on inbound, which, as you guys know, is very expensive. We activated partners as a channel 8 months ago once the AOV started getting to a point where it was relevant to the partners we wanted to work with. And I'm just about to launch an assertive outbound campaign. So identifying my ideal customer profile at scale and then feeding that in, looking for triggers or buying signals automatically, and then figuring that into the sales team. And that's how I'm going to drive down that CAC to the target is to get it to about $1,800, $1,900, which would be the range for this segment.
Derek, why do you say that $4,700 though is bad? If your annual monthly payment is called $1,000 per month and they're paying all cash up front, you're getting paid back immediately already.
Yeah, but I've got high costs when it comes to so CAC is one thing, and then CAC payback in terms of number of months on the total cost. To me that's high. It should be at 19. I want to get it to about $1,900 in order for us to be in pole position.
What do you say your CAC payback period is today? How many months?
We're running at 19 months at the moment.
Where do you get that? If your CAC is $4,700, but people are paying $12,000 a year?
The $12,000 a year is the ARPU, so annual recurring license per customer.
Yep.
And then and then I've got a CAC payback period of 19 months. That's what I track, which is CAC payback. I don't have the CAC number in front of me.
But don't you have to know the CAC number to get the CAC payback?
I do, but I just don't have that in front of me at the moment.
Got it. So just to be clear though,
but it's 19 months and it needs to be 12, 13 months.
So if you have 19 months with an average contract value of call it 12 grand, really you're paying about 19 grand to acquire that customer, not 4,700.
Yes, but so you're quoting 12,000. That's my ARPU. Yeah. That's my annual recurring per all of the customers. But my new customers are much more valuable. I've been acquiring much larger customers. So my average order value for new deals is 27,720 at the first half as of end of June. Last year, at the end of the year, it was 24, and the year before that, it was 10,000. So I've still got that legacy, if you like, that drag on my ARPU because of all of those legacy customers.
Well, just to be clear, though, that would make your payback quicker. If people are paying more per year than new one. Of course it would. Yeah, but I'm just saying that today my target is to get and improve the CAC payback. It's the last thing on the board that we've got to resolve. It's too high. Not 19 months is too high. Yeah, Derek, but we're missing something here. So I want to make, if 27 grand is what new customers are coming on at, and you're saying right now you have a 19-month payback period. So that's about a year and a half, right? So you're spending 27 grand plus another half of 27 grand, which means your CAC is somewhere right now in the, call it 40 grand range, not $4,700.
Yeah, no, so my CAC as it pertains to new customers is probably around $26,000, $27,000. Whereas the CAC, when I look at the overall, as it pertains to overall customer base, so it's about $27,000 at the moment to acquire a new customer in the enterprise space. So my mistake, yeah.
And they're signing up for a $27,000 on average per year contract, correct?
On average, yes, on average.
So that would be a 12-month payback period already, right? Not 19.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at 19 months. So that's what the system's telling me what we got from it at the end of June.
Interesting. Okay. Well, minimum discrepancies here. I just want to get inside your head a little bit more. Team size is 84 people. Where's everybody based?
We got about 54 people based in Bristol, UK, which is where the company was formed. And then the balance, there's 23 people now in Austin, Texas, mainly on the go-to-market functions, but we're changing that. And then the rest of our team are in Latvia and India, as you would expect. When I joined, the company's headquarters in the US was in San Francisco.
That's great. And talk to me real quick about...
I moved to Austin, Texas.
By the way, I'm in Austin. I love Austin, so that's great. Growth rate. Right now, you said you're doing about 900, call it $1 million per month. Where were you a year ago? What were you doing?
So end of 2017, 10... We were doing 7.7 in 2016. So if I look at annual recurring revenue, at the end of 2016, we were 7.7 million. And at the end of 2017, we got to 10.164 million. So give or take 30 odd points of growth.
Yep. And what do you think you'll finish out here in 2018?
We're on track for just over 13.5 million.
Yeah, that's great. Good growth. All right. Good stuff, Derek. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
My favorite book, The Art of War.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
A guy called Francis D'Souza, who I admire a lot, President CEO of Illumina. I used to actually work with him, but very impressive what he's doing. Made the shift from software into cancer research. So, yeah, very impressive guy.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building a business?
At the moment, I'm into Bamboo HR. I'm liking the way it allows me to set goals, manage them, get the reports, visibility. Really good HR management tool.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep are you getting every night?
Definitely over 8, on average 8.
That's good. And what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
I'm married, 16 years, 2 kids, Lara and Oscar, 12 and 8.
That's great. And how old are you?
I am 50.
All right, Derek, last question. Take us back 30 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
The importance of managing expectation with ambition. Everything takes a little bit longer. Yeah. And you always want to shoot for the stars. And when you're in this type of business, you got to be very careful of that. It can help you and hurt you.
Guys, there you have it. Manage expectations with ambition. You got to really, really pay a close eye to that. The company was launched in 2008. Again, Brightpearl. Derek came in 2 years ago and helped really right-size the business. They've got 45 million bucks raised, over 900 customers paying over $1,000 per month. So about 950, call it $1 million bucks a month right now in revenue. That's up from a run rate in 2017 of about 10.1 million and up from 2016, where they had a run rate ended with a 7.7 million run rate, 13% gross revenue churn annually. Said otherwise, 102% net revenue retention annually, super healthy. 84 people based between Bristol, Austin, Texas, Latvia, and India. Derek, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you very much. Cheers.